Is this thing on? Hello, testing. Hello, and welcome to a sales episode of the Drywall Podcast. I am your host, once again, Nick Harmon. With us today, we have very special guests, Aaron and Elliot St. James of Columbia Tools, back on the podcast for the final installment of April that's sponsored also by Columbia Tools, and we appreciate them for that. We immediately jump into the conversation of marketing and branding, obviously, from a company who's been a pioneer in branding for many years. We discuss the complementary skill sets each brother brings to the table within the company and the transition from when Aaron and Elliot took over the company from their father, Bernie, back in the day. But what about this project in Surrey?
Having firm dates. The biggest thing with this one was the dates getting pushed back. That was mentally exhausting for me for, having people's work-life balance in the palm of your hand and having to tell them it's been delayed again and they having to line up work.
The one thing that we kind of talked about was building in more days for recreation.
Yeah. Having more people on a smaller job.
Yeah, building or exactly.
Same amount of people on the smaller
more people than needed for the project.
It was a big project, super challenging in a very small time frame. I was like, and then I was even like, well, you could have like just shoot the influencers could be there just shooting content. Love the conversation about Surrey, and that project holds a near and dear place in my heart. We talk about the loss of our good friend Cameron Brown, who was also on that project, but we look to a future where there is no division amongst our fellow trades people. All that and a bag of chips packed into this amazing episode 129 on the Drywall Podcast. What's wrong, Nick? Nothing. It's just the last episode Columbia will be sponsoring. Don't cry, little Nick. It'll be okay. And with that said, let's get on with it. Drywall finishers, listen up one last time. If you want the highest quality taping tools made right here in North America, you need to check out Columbia Tools. Since 1979, they've been building tools that are designed to make taping easy, from automatic tapers to their brand new premium hand tools, including, but not limited to, joint knives, trowels, hawks, and mud pans. Columbia is always innovating and pushing the trade forward. We talk about those pans and knives in this episode. And now, they're hitting the road with a little road trip. Columbia Tools takes a road trip traveling across selected states and provinces in their brand new Columbia Mobile. It's pretty cool. I've seen it. Bringing tools, demos, and giveaways straight to the pros. We talk about the road trip on this episode as well. So, if you miss them at Build 25, you'll get more chances to see them as they travel across Northern America and provinces in Canada. The best tools, the smoothest finish. Columbia Tools, making taping tools easier and better since 1979. Check out my interview with Aaron and Elliot of Columbia Tools way back in the day on episodes 23 and 26 and discover how Columbia came to be the powerhouse they are. Or listen to this episode coming up to see how they maintain that powerous. Yeah, but is powerous a real word? Doesn't matter. Just go with it. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you have questions for me about the Drywall Podcast, you can reach out to me directly at info@frescoharmony.com. Maybe you would like to sponsor a month of the podcast. Maybe you would like to be on the podcast. Maybe you can't stand me and you want to give me a little piece of your mind. Well, you can do that too. Reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. But for now, Aaron and Elliot on the 129th episode of the Drywall Podcast. Let's get into it.
I have a Columbia hat, and what I'm rocking today is a Islander fishing reel hoodie, which is a brand of high-end fishing reels they use on the West Coast, like down to where Vancouver used to live, like in that region from Portland to about Alaska. They use them fishing for salmon. Okay. And why I have these is we make internal parts for their reels on our machines here. So it's not just a hobby for me; it's a lifestyle and a business. I'm just joking. We actually do only one part for them. It's a kind of a difficult part, and it has to be made out of material that can withstand ocean elements and all that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, very cool. And I do I like the Columbia hat.
Yeah. Caden made this for me. We made only 10 of these ones I love it. So.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And if you're listening and you don't know, Columbia Tools is a little broader than just a drywall tool manufacturer. You guys dabble in a lot of different arenas because you have this amazing machine shop, which I've gotten to see, and it's extraordinary. And you can do things outside of the realms and confines of drywall, like fishing reels. That's kind of cool. Or components of fishing reel.
Yeah, it diversifies what we do. It allows us to dabble in different markets, and it also allows us to learn from what we do with those products and implement it into the products we make.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool because we get to see other people's designs and drawings, and we get to talk to their engineers and learn about technique and stuff from other manufacturers. It's cool.
Right. And if you haven't heard my first interview with Aaron and Elliot St. James of Columbia Tools, episodes 23 and 26, going all the way back to November 4th and November 25th of 2023. So it's been well over 2 years, a few months over 2 years since we've done an interview. And I love the story of how Columbia Tool, how we got to do an interview because it was accidental. And Aaron, you started listening to the podcast, and you're like, "This is pretty good." Yeah, like I'll do a podcast. Like, why not? And you called me, and you guys have been huge promoters of Fresco Harmony, and I appreciate that. And we've gotten to become friends. We're all around the same age, which has been kind of cool. So we're going to dive into sort of the post story of Nick Harmon, the Drywall Podcast, Fresco Harmony, Columbia Tools, and where this journey has gone since we've become friends, the ups, the downs, the goods and the bads, and all that good stuff in this episode. So I'm really excited. Real quick, Aaron, if you guys don't mind, when I address you guys, just like the other episodes where we have two people, I will address like Aaron or Elliot. Aaron, what is your age?
I am 42 years old.
42. And Elliot?
47.
47. Awesome.
And Nicholas, how old are you?
23. I just turned 23. Yeah.
Oh, that's quite young for such an entrepreneur.
You can almost rent a car.
I'm ambitious. No, I'm 48. So I am the wiser elder statesman on this particular podcast today. So that's good.
And for those joining by video, I do use a red Solo cup at work. That's my every day. So sometimes people are taken back. I'm walking through the factory with a red Solo cup, and they're, what's going on there? But it's just cranberry and soda. Yeah,
it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
I use the name Nicholas. Have you ever Googled the name Nick Harmon before?
I think a porn star comes up when you Google Nick Harmon.
Yeah, I was going to say you got some pretty stiff competition on there.
No pun.
Matt Airy was saying, have you ever Googled Nick's name? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to refer to you as Nicholas. Nicholas.
I just
You know what?
so I just met Matt at Build 25, which we were all at, and a great guy. Yeah, really cool
Yeah,
dude.
he's awesome. Matt's an amazing guy. Yeah, Elliot
Yeah.
hasn't met him yet.
I have not met him. But can you get the other Nick Harmon on your podcast?
I could try.
That'd be great.
That would be a
great.
fantastic. Well, I've talked with Cam's brother James, who is not a drywall guy. He's a music producer. He
Yeah.
does music, this sort of thing. Really great guy. It's very nostalgic when I talk to him on the phone because he sounds a lot like Cam, and
Yeah.
you can tell he's just a great guy. And we've talked about him coming on the podcast, and that would branch out a little bit for me from doing a drywall specific episode. But I can't see where having a porn star on the podcast would be bad entertainment. I feel like people would tune in.
Yeah, I think I would listen for sure.
Albeit probably not appropriate, but there's many aspects. Yeah, there's many aspects of the Drywall podcast that aren't as kid friendly, I would say. So Aaron, we'll start with you. What about the podcast back in the day spoke to you, or that you appreciated enough that you would want to call me out of the blue? Because it's not like I was beating down your door trying to get you on the podcast. I was gonna leave it. You were like, I'll go on the podcast and check it out. So early on, maybe there was something about the podcast that was attractive to you.
Well, to be honest with you, I've always wanted this industry to grow and become more popular and to push itself higher, this industry, to keep leveling up. And it started with the Drywall Talk days, and then I got into Facebook, Instagram. And then when I heard there's a podcast, it's just another avenue for people to learn, to grow, to get to know each other, for competition to push each other, just for everything to get better, stronger, more innovative. If we're spreading ideas around, then that's how things get better and stronger, right? So it was just another avenue that if we can keep this thing going, it spreads ideas around, it gets people trying new things, pushing their comfort levels, all that stuff, right? Even just sharing their stories is pushing your comfort level. Yeah. And then you also see that people are going through the same things you are going through. You can listen to people that are very popular in the industry, and they're just the same as any of us, right? So it's just an interesting avenue. I like it.
Yeah, it gives a voice, kind of. Yeah. You've got your online persona with these influencers and things like that, but then the podcast, I feel like, gives a voice. It brings a human element to these people, these industry leaders, and even just people that are doing the trade, day in and day out.
Because when you see someone online, there's no backstory. It's easy to just sit there. People just sit there and rip on them and go to the negative. But it adds a little compassion to the industry as well, a little human side of it, right? Sure.
Yeah. Elliot, what about you? I feel like with you, do you take sort of a side seat to Aaron's marketing, or do you guys both sort of collaborate? Does Aaron come to you and, hey, Elliot, there's this new podcast, what do you think about this? Do you guys check in with each other, or are you more in the business aspect?
Yeah, for sure. I'm more in the business aspect in manufacturing and product design, but I am involved in the new product selection, whether we're going to do it or not, and who's going to buy it, and how many will be sold, and the look and the naming and all that kind of stuff. So more of the functional side of marketing, I would say. If I'm involved in marketing at all, it's more functional side.
Elliot has a big impact in the marketing as well, though. He likes to push it too and make sure we're he's.
Oh no, I'm very happy about our presence being out there and having people being able to interact with us in the digital media space and with you in the podcast as well. It just doesn't it's not on my radar as like it is on Aaron's. I'm more into, is this truck coming in this week? What's the delay in getting material, and is a machine broken down? And Aaron's involved in manufacturing as well, more on the assembly and fulfillment side. But he has a little bit more bandwidth, I think, and he works with the sales team, and they're talking about trends in the marketplace. I'm not in those meetings, so and Aaron's also just by a minute a millennial, literally a minute or a day or a week or something, and so he grew up with a little more tech than I did. Me and you being the same age, essentially. Yeah. You've done really well with being in the tech space, but for me, I call myself a bit of an analog guy. I just, and to the extent I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on any. I'm a little different that way. So Aaron's keeping up with these trends. Like, people are doing action figures right now of themselves, I guess, on
Yeah.
Pretty cool, man. It's really cool.
They are cool. So yeah, I saw Durotech, and this was fantastic. It would be fun to do. It'd be fun to do sort of a spoof one. I know the first meme that I saw that was kind of in that genre was the Spirit Halloween Drywaller.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Paul Peck. He had one, and it was pretty comical. I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. There's like, the Spirit Halloween Drywaller costume.
Yeah, like
yeah.
But it was have, like, a police officer, but Drywaller.
Okay. And did they have like slutty Drywaller yet?
They don't know. It was just sort of the meme of the picture. So these action figures that are popping up, these are actual, like you can order an action figure for like $20 or whatever, and order like 10 of them, and you get an action figure.
You actually can.
Oh, you can get. Oh, it's AI. I think it's AI, right?
Is it an actual action figure? Or
no, it's AI.
It's
I
AI.
know we did one today, but I have no idea how it.
No, it was done on AI.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well, and there is.
Okay, but don't tell the children. Don't tell the children that it's AI. It's like Christmas.
No, kids are not allowed to listen to or watch the Drywall podcast. Heaven forbid we get any kids that watch this.
The world's going to the wrong way then.
But these action figures and trinkets in this market, I do find interesting, because like you've got like the mark, you got the bobblehead, and I'm sad that I didn't pick up a bobblehead from the show. Like, somebody's like, "Oh, did you get a bobblehead?" And it's like, I don't know what I do with a bobblehead. But Trimtex also has, like the little dude,
the stuffy guy.
Yeah, like people collect those, and I'm like, I just don't get it. I mean, but it seems like a popular thing. Do you guys have like a? I know you made a pin. I have, dude. Look at this.
We did make a pen. Yeah.
Remember the?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, we don't have one, but I do like them. When I see the Mark Wilson one, I appreciate it. I'm like, I've seen it when I'm in Europe. I've seen it. I'm like, that's cool. Like I at first I was like, really? And then I was like, but then I really
you see them everywhere.
It grew on me, and then the Trimtex one's really cool.
Yeah, the Trimtex. Yeah, a little.
Yeah, really
very
cool.
funny. Yeah, interesting, and that's marketing. That's marketing too. So with you guys, there is crossover on different aspects of marketing versus business. Now, Elliot, what is your business background? And then we'll ask Aaron too. What's your sort of educational background?
Yeah. So what happens in family businesses, which you participated in one, if I remember correctly, I just remember your story about doing seeding up on the hills of hydro seeding you were doing, or with your father.
Yep, a little bit.
So a little bit. So in our family, and I don't know what other people growing up in the 80s that did in family businesses, but it was just kind of one and the same. Work was talked about at the dinner table, right? And it was like, Dad would go in on the weekend, Dad would go in at night. He'd fly places from the time I was very young. So and business becomes like almost like a farmer would be, to working on a dairy farm in their backyard, or that they live on the property. it becomes like that for a family where it just
It's a way of life. Yeah.
it's just a way of life. So that's really my background. And educationally, I didn't do a lot of courses. I traveled a lot for the business at a young age. And then I did take a formal course for 1 year in sales work. But I probably covered it in the last podcast we did 2 years ago, but like
a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, being out on the road in a motorhome for 1 month straight when I was 19 or 20. So things like that. So, and then eventually I feel like if you put enough effort in, any weak spots that you have kind of get filled in just with mistakes and time, right? Just like, and so that kind of completes an education for someone. And as you get older, I think a very key part of education in anything is learning what you should not be doing and what you can't do as well. So there's learning how to do things, obviously, as a young man, and just like I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go and learn this, and then there's learning over time that what you shouldn't be doing. And I think that kind of is what I've been learning the last 10 years of my career, and I probably will continue to learn what other people should be doing instead of me. So.
Yeah, it's interesting to me just because you have such a natural, we've talked about Fresco Harmony and marketing, and you just have such a natural bent. Aaron's more, I feel like Aaron's more the creative. You're more the sales strategy, back end, kind of personality to Columbia that's like super essential. And you guys probably fleshed that out. Aaron, would you say that you guys just sort of gravitated towards your strengths and weaknesses? This wasn't something that you talked about prior or anything like that. You just sort of, have your roles that you do. There's some crossover, but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we work together every day. We meet with everybody every day. I've learned a lot from Elliot because he was in it 5 years before me, right? One thing our business did do is there was nothing handed to you in our business, so you had to educate yourself or learn as you were going to be able to, I don't know how to say it, move up in the business or participate on a level that your voice is heard. It wasn't just like you weren't just, oh, you're the son of the owner, you get to do whatever you want. The way my dad ran this business and we've run the business is you have to create your voice through the work and intelligence that you bring. And then the other thing I would say is not learning from a school or it allows us to be, we're not so linear. It allows us to be a little more disruptive in the industry and push the industry a little more rather than just going in a linear fashion and worrying about whether we're going to be somewhere else in 4 years or, what numbers do we have to hit this year? Or we can be a little bit more disruptive, right? With our marketing, with our production, with our products we launch.
We weren't trained to think in quarters, right? Like corporations, it's all about the month, the quarter, right? So we think in years and in 2 years and 3 years, but we think about what year we're going to have. And if it's a year of innovation, then we obviously are, being a small company, and you know this too, Nick, if it's a year of innovation, you're not going to have as much marketing, right? Because you just don't have enough people to do everything, but that innovation should lead to the next year being full of marketing. So it kind of What in your journey, what have you found? I know you with Fresco. Does the product need more development each year? It's a question I have, actually. Sorry for reversing it, but
that's okay. Yeah. No, I mean, Fresco comes up a lot in the podcast, as you guys know. I mean, it's what I do. It's but it's a great analogy for a lot of things that I do in life. I was listening to an excerpt. I follow Gary Vaynerchuk on social media. He's always got these, awesome pearls of wisdom that he's always pushing out to the community, and they're generally business oriented. But somebody asked the question, like, how do I scale? Because my skill sets are so dynamic that I can't train anybody else. And I get bottlenecked in my business because I can't release the reins. Like, it's just me. I'm going to the job. I'm doing a job. I can't deal with having an employee there. I don't make enough. So I need to, I feel like I need to keep all that money. And then I'm at the office. I can't keep any employees there because I'm not willing to let go of the reins to allow sort of your employees to blossom. That's one of my inhibitors and something that I'm learning.
Hard when you're passionate as well, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have that passion behind you.
Well, I think
it's the only way to scale, though. And so I'm curious, like, how you guys deal with that. I mean, you know, finding Caden and like these aspects where you're allowing people more freedom to create, and probably even your machine developers and things like that. You let those people develop and help your business grow.
Listening to you talk, what comes up for me is, and I don't know, you mentioned Gary Boehner, you said, I don't know, I'm not familiar with him, but being a dynamic person, for me, I think what happens is you as Nick Harmon or me or Aaron or anybody, we see the whole thing, and you've got to give nobody can do the whole thing. Right. Even in a realm of it, 10% of the company, they probably can't do the whole thing.
Right.
So now you got to find a way to give this employee part of what your vision is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But your vision's all intertwined. It doesn't. You don't have your vision broken into 10 pieces, right?
Right.
I don't. Usually I don't. But that's the trick. You got to break your vision into pieces and give those parts away. But often an entrepreneur doesn't see their vision in sections. It's all one. You know? So that's why you hear about these CEOs, these famous CEOs, walking through a factory and yelling at people or flipping out or, you know, shutting down a movie set because their vision's not being met, or you know what I mean? And that it's tough. And that has been a lot for me. My dad really struggled with it. And I do too. When you walk by someone, what you want to do is, you know, go over and correct something you see is not correct. And I have to do that. I do have to do that. But a lot of emotion comes up. Right? Like upset comes up about that thing not being done correct, because it's part of this whole vision. Like a song, and if a guy totally screwed up a line in a song in a band, the whole band would stop and say, dude, what was up, right? So I'm walking through my factory and I'm seeing something that's totally out of tune or the wrong line being, you know, sung, and I'm like upset. But I have to get over that and accept that and go correct the thing and not dysregulate myself so my day can keep going properly, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't fume for an hour or whatever, you know. And I'm sure that every entrepreneur has faced this. I really am.
It's the hardest part of it, right?
It's interesting to me, that segue too. I mean, we've touched on it a little bit. I've interviewed Bernie, I've interviewed you guys, but like that segue where it was like releasing the reins, your business is growing, you know, and Bernie being allowed to, you know, step back. It was probably over a course of 10 years, you know, that he was able to like step back and allow you guys the reins. You had this background and knowledge, and you sort of cut your teeth, and he vetted you. I mean, Sean's just, you know, my son's just starting to like, what is it you do? You know, like he's like,
old is he again?
He's like,
9?
Is there nobody else does this? Like, you know, he's like 9. You know, all he knows is like he got to go to England and, you know, watch an English Premier League soccer game. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
He's digging it. He's digging it. But very cool.
I have one funny story on the same topic. So my dad has been retired since about 2010 or so, or around then, and he did a little bit through 2015. He'd do the odd trip or the odd thing, but he's been retired since about 2010. Anyways, he came in about 2018, probably. I don't exactly remember, probably around then. And he came in to use the welder for some farm implement he was welding. And he still does today. Once a year. Once a year.
Comes in. Bootlegs the etcher.
Oh yeah. He's walking by, and there's an employee that worked here, and he's eating an apple, and he's just kind of walking around and in the parking lot, just kind of. And my dad got affected by this. He's like, you know, used to people having a break in the break room or whatever, you know. So he immediately gets his, you know, kind of a little bit, you know, upset about this, and he walks up to this person. He says, so are you on what's going on? What do you do here? Or what?
Yeah.
You know, he asks him what he's up to.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, I'm having a mental health break." and he my dad's not like a super hothead or nothing, so he took that and he went away and he started welding and did his welding. And he comes back to this guy because he couldn't help it.
Yeah.
So 5 minutes later, he goes, "Okay, so how many of these mental health breaks are there in a day, and how long do they last?" And he doesn't know this person's name, right? He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't work here, so he doesn't know this person's name. And I don't remember what the answer was. This particular guy did a lot of AutoCAD work for us, and he would need to unplug from his screen, you know, and not be moving nuts and bolts and physical things around. And, you know, I had no problem with how he worked in general. So, but anyways, back in his day, you had 3 breaks and they were at certain times. You remember, right? The whistle, the shop whistle would blow type thing.
Yeah.
So there's an example of that dysregulation. Here's a guy supposed to be welding on a farm thing, and he's now can't do it because he's emotionally, you know, upset.
He doesn't even know whether this guy's an employee or not, or
doesn't know anything. Doesn't know anything, right?
Yeah.
It's bothered him.
But that's the entrepreneur. It gets so deep into you, right?
Yeah.
That I'm sure you would be the same 10 years from now if you had a bunch of people making it.
I can't even look. I can't even look.
I can't even look.
Guys,
Can't even
good
look.
luck. Good luck,
Yeah,
Sean. Good luck, Sean. I wish you.
So he got totally hooked by this person eating an apple, right, walking around, and he couldn't even do his job anymore. So that's the curse of the entrepreneur, right? The emotional side of it.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you don't know that the mental health breaks started because Aaron needed several mental health breaks per day, 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is deeply affected his inheritance.
Yeah, it's that little millennial part of him that like needed the mental health.
That's right. And that will be reflected in the will. The current.
There's starting to be some strong ones up and coming. Like Caden's a good example of that. Caden's one of the hardest working, and he's 20 years old, right?
Well, yeah, well,
they're forward thinking. More the days of like your standard career. There's people are making $1 million posting videos on YouTube. This is a different climate that we're working in. So employers need to maybe appreciate or recognize value in employees, pay them well, take care of them, and while also giving them the lead to have creative freedom and things like that. Like these people don't want to be like bottled down by, you know, corporate greed and all that shit that our forefathers had to deal with. It's like, no, you get a career, you're in it for 30 years, you get your retirement and all of this. Now it's like, you know, Social Security. Yeah, it's like, well, maybe it's not even going to exist by the time you retire. You know, the stuff that our parents paid into.
Yeah. So, if you don't push yourself nowadays and try to, there's none of that. Yeah.
Work is becoming less linear for sure. Yeah, 100%. And then Caden's a great example here at our company, and there's others as well. But he's got that spirit that the people from years ago have. It just doesn't look the same because you don't sit and hammer at a table all day. It doesn't look the same.
I like the marketing conversation. You guys are pioneers, I think, in this industry in marketing and sort of the creative elements of what you do. You have Caden, but you have another person too that's kind of out on the road, right, in the United States.
He's a salesperson for us. Yeah,
Addison.
He's only a little bit older than Caden, but
he's 26.
Yeah. Okay, so he's sales. Caden's more social media.
Social media and sales,
Caden does both.
And sales. Okay. And how did you find this Caden character?
So Caden was Aaron, we go back to when he was born. We knew him when he was born. So it was my best friend's son. My best friend Mike, his son is Caden, and Aaron actually lived in Mike's basement suite when Caden was born.
Yeah. I would hear Mike singing to him in the morning while he was feeding him breakfast and stuff like that. So we've been around since
during one of your mental health breakdowns.
During one of my mental health breaks, it was probably 1 PM. I had to go home and have a nap break. Yeah.
The mother of all mental health breaks.
Caden's been with you guys for a little while. Yeah, about a year. What? Because he was there during Surrey. We'll get into that a little bit. The this project. There's been, kind of one so far. I'm curious if you guys are going to do another one. Caden, like, why? What does he bring into the table that's maybe unique or necessary, or because it seems like there's been a shift maybe in your social media marketing since he's come on board. Aaron.
Yeah. So the one thing, so he brings a youthful aspect to it. And he understands what I'm thinking. So I'll give him ideas, and not everybody understands what I'm throwing at them, but Caden has a creative mind. So like I've said before, I used to like to make movies, and I could make a script in my mind of what something looked like, but I had a hard time explaining it to people or getting them to understand what it was supposed to be. And Caden gets it right away. I'll throw an idea at him and he starts rolling with it, and then we'll kind of roll with it together. So he has that that creativity side that I can kind of just throw something at him and he can roll with it without me having to be totally involved with it. Perfect. He also has no shyness towards doing things. Like, why he's so good at sales is he doesn't care if he's getting a rejection from anybody. He doesn't care. He will talk that person from not wanting to talk to him into joking with them and wanting to hear from him again. He's got he doesn't have that edge when you call someone and you have a nervousness. He's got a block for that.
So Kate, if you don't want to talk to Caden, he thinks that's your problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't think it's his problem. Man, that guy's not happy. He thinks it's like,
he doesn't take it as a,
he doesn't take it personally.
I don't know if you guys deal with it, but like for me to do sales, it's such a personal thing. Yeah. Like, I will hire a salesperson one day or a team or whatever. I'm not there yet, but for me to pick up the phone and do sales or follow up, I mean, it's a really challenging aspect of the criticism, especially when you're that close.
It eats at you for sure.
It's hard. It's just hard, to deal with.
Well, you can get 100 people saying it's great, and then the one person that says it's dog shit can eat at you for sure. Well, I mean, that's something you have to get over.
The thing with you, Nick, and you're probably more like me, where you just want to keep refining and presenting your product, and you want to have people come to you. That's kind of what I like doing. Like if you have the best restaurant in town, people will line up. That type of thing. So what was the old saying? Build a better mousetrap in the world to beat a path to your door was the old saying.
I like it.
Yeah. So that, but the other side of it is it's challenging emotionally to go and do sales for sure.
That is something that gets a lot of these product inventors is thinking everybody's going to want that product because you love it. But the challenge is it doesn't happen that way. You have to make people want your product, not just by making a great product. You have to actually go out there and get people using it, liking it, talking about it.
And Nick, you have to stop taking personally that people want to have normal walls in their homes. I'm kidding. But
I was gonna say that, like, it's been so easy for me. Like, people just flock to the website and they're buying. The stuff just flies off the shelves. Cakewalk. So
but no. And the other challenge is, like, for me, when I was younger, you think anything else is the other team. Like, someone's running a tape tech tool, that's the other team. And as you mature, you start realizing that it doesn't bother me. Like, you start realizing that the people that run your tools and buy your tools you're really grateful for them. Yeah. Right. But you're not upset about people that don't. No. But that's the transition.
You got to get over that.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Like, you must see people using a competitor product that's more expensive. I won't name the name, but they're out there. And you must be like, man, you could have spent half and had it look like this, or, but it's tough to get over that as a purveyor of something you've
made. Well, or I'll go up, like, I went up to CSR in Toronto. I travel all the way up there. I do a training. Wasn't not a ton of people there, but we went up to Barrie, and we probably had 10, 11 people, and then one of the people at the training like is doing like another product. I'm like, did I miss something here? I went up, I showed you how to do this, and then you'd rather go spend money on this other training.
Yeah.
And then use and it's like I can't waste energy on that. I just have to go and what I feel is like put energy where there's interest.
Yeah. Well, that's what I talk about by growing this industry is that feeling right there is what should be pushing Fresco Harmony or Columbia to be better, right?
Yeah.
So if you see that other people are using this other brand, it's our job to do things to make them use our brand, right? And that's what competition is all about, right? It's about it's about growing the industry, right? So rather than being upset about it, let's go back and get to the drawing board and find out what we got to do to have more people use our product, right?
Very smart.
We're looking for fans of our product. We're looking for people that like the music we play, and we got to keep on. And that's what I think why Aaron wanted to be on your podcast originally is like, we want to engage with these fans of our products. We want to attract more fans to our products. We don't want to hate on or dislike people that aren't going to use our stuff.
No,
we just want to have a chance to present what we're doing.
Right. No, I love it. Love this conversation. It's so good. But I did want to go to so Surrey. Like there was this element of, and stop me if I'm wrong, Fresco Harmony kind of came into the fold. The Drywall Podcast was kind of coming into the fold. I met you guys because I was reaching out to Cam. It's the famous It's Your Man Cam.
Yeah.
We did a couple little of adventures. We went up to Columbia Tools. We had this brilliant idea, if you're listening, that we were going to go up to Columbia and we were going to have a Fresco Harmony training, and then people would get to see the Columbia factory. Great idea. And so we had Cam, we had Sean Ramsden, he came, and then I think we had two people show up. One of them, SSB, who gave me this great shirt, Drywall.
He was in Charlotte. He's still around.
He's still around, and he's still doing Fresco Harmony. So we had one person come to the show. But I think there's never like a bad idea.
No.
What sort of blossomed out of that was the concept of the Drywall adventure. And you guys took that to another level with a project in Surrey. Tell me about how that idea came. Was it because of these Drywall adventures? And how did you angle Surrey to where you felt like you could leverage a marketing possibility? Let's start with Elliot on this one.
It was really Aaron that did it, but I was obviously involved. And
sure,
what it was the concept of having, so first of all, content creators, originally there was a few. The first one I heard about was Phil, PRC Taping. And then there was Shorty, Drywall Shorty, and then there was
of course.
Our friend in Saskatchewan, the awesome Leah Palou. Yeah, Leah Palou. So there was these people, the original
Drywall by Design.
Yeah, there was these original people, and they were individually doing content on their job sites.
Yeah,
and it started pretty early. We're like, what if we could get them all on one job site? It was something that would come up in our marketing meetings. But it was a couple years before.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we've been talking about it since probably 2019.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And it was like, wouldn't that be cool for the viewers of these people, the people that consume the content, to watch 3 or 4 of their favorite people, and meet new people through the. So that was what it was kind of initially talked about, but it was logistically difficult to do. And then Aaron came across a home that was being built that we knew the person who was building the home, and he thought that would be the one to do. So, but you're trying to get sponsorships from material companies, and they're having these meetings with you, like 12 people on the phone call, because they're what is this about? Why are we doing this? We like it. We think we like it.
Yeah. You're basically doing a job interview and selling it, right?
Yeah, and they're telling you.
Aaron used the phrase like the Wild West. This is marketing like in the like the Wild West land grab, like where nothing like this has been done. It's almost like a home show around drywall. Sponsors can come in. They can supply the drywall. Metal Tech can come in and and hook you guys up with scaffold, and then you've got like a smattering of other sponsors. But then the caveat is that you get all this good content.
And they were all awesome. Like there was no lack of eagerness. It was just difficult for some of them, and no one in particular, but they have corporate bylaws, right, that they have to adhere to in regards to all sorts of things, safety, of course, and all sorts of things. But Marshalltown was great, Richard was great, Metal Tech was great, Trimtex, Hamilton, George Hamilton was there, West Sure Pro. Yeah, I mean, we ended up with these amazing partners, but the issues were kind of like Aaron had to sell the concept, but it all worked out really great. Trimtex sent their person Adriana. Yeah, she was on site a lot, and Brad from CSR came out, and we cooked all together. And
Brandon was there.
You came up. You drove up from New Mexico, and
the great Nicholas Harmon was there.
Yeah, so it was.
I heard that maybe they did a little fresco harmony on that project. I cannot confirm nor deny.
Nor deny. No, it was good. It was really good. We want to do another one.
Yeah,
we do.
Okay.
And we will, but we talked.
Still recovering from the first one.
Yeah.
We talked about doing locales and different locales, and
what would you do different? What would you do differently on the next event? Like, sort of. This is like, I don't even want to call it a drywall adventure. It's like almost a marketing adventure, like a drywall.
Sure.
A drywall. Escapade.
Yeah, the main thing would be working with a proper builder. Having firm dates. The biggest thing with this one was the dates getting pushed back. That was mentally exhausting for me for, having people's work-life balance in the palm of your hand and having to tell them it's been delayed again, and they having to line up work.
The one thing that we kind of talked about was building in more days for recreation.
Yeah. Having more people on a smaller job.
Yeah, building or exactly more
amount of people on the smaller
more people than needed for the project.
It was a big project, super challenging in a very small time frame. I was like, and then I was even like, well, you could have like just shoot the influencers could be there just shooting content, have a drywall crew finish out the damn house.
No, so you guys actually taped the house. Like there was no on the cooking show where they prep the food and then they bring it in the oven done. It literally got done.
Alice we're mixing mud. I mean, I'm cleaning up after everybody. It was a full-time job. I think the other thing I would do is probably do the bead and trim work one week, and then the drywall finishing the next week. We combine it all into 1 week. Like have Adriana come in, say someone like that, come in a week before and do like for a couple days and do that, and have it all prepped. So we're literally pre-fills done. We're just taping a house.
Yeah, we had two corporate representatives there. One was Brandon Hunter from Sure Pro, and the other was Adriana from Trimtex. I would like to have somebody from everybody there. Yeah, like make it required. Don't just send us product, which was amazing. Trust me, we loved it. But I think having feature times for these people to do,
they can provide the content they want. Yeah.
And so and that's just really to enhance it. It's not really for us. That would just help them more.
I heard on Tuesday the schedule was a little tight. People were nervous. And the organization was maybe struggling a little bit. And I heard Elliot had to sort of crack the whip a little bit. You want to tell me more about that? Because I wasn't there. If I was there, shit would have been going smooth.
Well, that's what I was doing. I said, where the fuck is Nick? Right. So, but yeah. So what happened there is you've got all these awesome individuals that are really strong and do their own thing, right?
Yeah.
You got Danny Moody and the Gilberts and Teak and Chad and yourself a couple days into the project, and Sean and pretty much people that do their own thing, right?
Yeah.
And so they were all doing their own thing, and they were doing great in their own way, all of them. Yeah. And Cam was doing awesome. And so what happened was I started hearing from the group, like, I don't know if this is going to work out time-wise. I started hearing kind of rumblings from people as I walked by. I'm like, how's it going? and there were some concerns being expressed, right? So
a lot of mental health. They were starting to take mental health.
There's a lot of mental
breaks.
health breaks.
Yeah, so we brought my dad in to shut that down.
Yeah.
No, so what happened was I just kind of called a meeting and I was like, okay, so what does everyone need? What's happening? You know, and people were real generous with direction, and I felt like we had all of the resources necessary to do it. I could see it you got Danny, and there were some guys that and girls that pulled their weight. Like there was some major efforts going on.
You probably could have kicked everyone off the job and just had Danny and the Gilberts on the job, and it probably would have got done in less time.
Well, you know, we also have a lot of people coming together that don't know each other, and there's nerves too, right?
No, but to your point, you've got these absolute, monsters like Danny Moody who can just go, and you got the Gilberts who are so focused, and you got these high energy people in Cam who's got music playing. He's happy, taping away. Looks like he could have taped for forever. So you've got these resources, and yet you're hearing that it might not get done, and that was where I came in and said, okay, so what are we missing here? And there were a couple of strategies. I don't know drywall that well like they do. I don't know it. So they worked on the sequencing a bit in that meeting, and they said, why don't we all do, I forget what it was. I forget.
Yeah, we had an original plan of attack that we had to break down, and we took from what they thought would be the best method, right?
Yeah, so I don't. So and then it went pretty good from there, and then there was a couple of people that ended up touching up at the end, following up, touching up with and then the fresco came. But it was a learning experience for me, for sure. And but you know what? Every person was such a good personality that I had no fear of it getting done. I didn't. Yeah. I just knew that if but I can imagine what it would be like to be a professional sports coach, where you're like, I know my team's better, but we're losing, right? You know what I mean, and how do we win? So,
everybody had to work together, and you've got these individuals that are used to doing it their own way, but everybody had to come together and just be like, okay, he's doing that, she's doing that, we're gonna be down here. And it did work out because everybody was a super pro, And
what really came through was the work that these people were capable of doing was what left an impression on me, like the motors these people have inside of them to work. It was like impressive to me, and I just watched it unfold. And I was back at the factory, I was back and forth. But I was like, wow, these people could move a mountain as a group, and they ended up doing it. So it was great.
Very cool.
Yeah, for the next one, I don't know when, where, what, how, but obviously the losing Cam from the group that was up in Surrey, mentally, emotionally, just put a block on everything. For sure. We just stopped talking about working at all and doing another project in the future. Surrey was great, and then there was talk of another one. But then when we lost Cam, it just kind of, for the better part of a half a year, just so far. And now maybe I don't know if it's time to talk about doing another one again, but just concerned about his family and his brother, his mom and dad and his brother, and just putting our energy towards, Sean's been really interacting with the family, and I know you have too, and just making, you can't undo what happened, but that's really had a lot of our focus. So
it was just a tragedy, and
you too, like thinking about you too. Honestly.
I think about them every. I have a really good support group here. I think about them every day, man. I think about them every day. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, and even flying to Toronto for the CSR show, I was obviously going on behalf of Columbia Tools, and I was going on behalf of an invite from Brad and Frank there. But the event for me was about seeing you again and seeing Sean again in person, and Danny, and that was the most profound part of that event, was just seeing you guys again. And so that's what we've been going through, and I can only imagine what's happened in your world. So
that particular event was really hard for me. I just, it was too soon, and we're all have ego. Myself included. I want to pretend like everything's fine, and
Sure.
And it's just, I'm still like, rebounding.
For sure.
And he was also like, just an integral part of his community, like outside of the 2 years that we got to enjoy Cam, or 3 years in the drywall world. He had 20 some years of community in his own community.
It was a massive blow to his community, for sure.
Yeah
I do think about that. I do think about that, about how they're doing in Ohio. And so we were a blip in his life.
Wes, him and Wes were like childhood, they were like childhood buddies.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew they were close. I didn't know they were from children.
Friends from a very young age.
Cool.
Okay. Moving forward, we had Surrey, but then these road these road trips, they are interesting to me. I know you're not the only company that does like these road tours. I want for our audience to understand, and for myself, like maybe a little bit more the strategy or angle behind what you achieve from these road trips and what you're like trying to promote. Is it just about social media content? Aaron?
Yeah, so for me, it was going back to our roots. We grew up going around in the RV with our dad, right? And he would it's an old school approach. Everybody's emailing nowadays, right? I got 1,000 emails. Do you want to buy this from me? Do you want to buy that? It's a product pushing, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to bring the relationship back to sales. So we want to go around, actually present ourselves, come in, stay the time that you need to be there because you don't have a flight to catch. Do a morning if needed. You're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. You do have a deadline at the end of the week, but you're it's a presentation that is kind of lost in today's day and age, I would say. And actually spending time with the people. It's also a presence coming into the when this unit comes into the yard. People are like, what the hell is going on, right? And I mean, we went to one yard in North Carolina. They're up in Durham. There's a guy named Jim up there. He goes, he was Caden, Sean, and Matt that went up and saw him. And he goes, this is a funny story. He goes, 20 years ago, Bernie came in through here with a camper, and he still remembered that. And he was still there. He was blown away that we came back 20 years later.
That's funny.
So there's something nostalgic in it for me. Personally, that I grew up doing that with my dad.
So
my
do
mom,
you
my
have,
sister.
when you schedule a show like that, do you have certain specific stops at specific shops that you're going to hit in each state? Okay.
Yeah, we create a map, and okay. we hit as many of those as we can, and then
that's cool.
There's freelancing, and then you kind of drive through the night to get to the next city, and then you relocate, and you're ready to go in the morning, right? And there's something quite fun about it. I mean, I've done it lots in my life, and it is a lot of fun, and you get to go for cool experiences that you wouldn't normally go. You go have dinner at a finisher's house or a sales guy at the yard's house, and right. Or the somebody's cooking, the wife's cooking you spaghetti, or the guy's cooking you something there. And it's we would end up in the weirdest houses when I was a kid. We'd be in some guy's house watching sports or whatever, right? Yeah. And we've never met this person before, right? And then we're doing that again, right? And it's pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's already been happening to me a little bit. I'm like first generation, so I'm getting used to being really uncomfortable, and not just this country, but England and like all of that.
You have a lot of, but the commonalities of the industry it kind of brings everybody together too. You have stuff to talk about. It's not, I mean, it's a pretty easy event to hang out with people you don't know, because there's so much to talk about, right?
You were a little. I saw a social media post recently. You were a little disappointed with Caden's performance. Maybe he's slacking a little bit. Maybe he needs more mental health days. But maybe this road show got to his head. Do you want to speak to that a little more?
I'm going to put that one on the guys that he was with, the chaperones.
Yeah. They should have been better role models.
Yeah, distracting them, keeping them up late at night, waking up late in the morning. No, they did a great job.
Poor little guy was tired.
He came from a vacation in Mexico,
family vacation,
straight on like the Sunday, got into the RV, and he'd been going for 2 weeks straight with these guys, 4 a.m. mornings, and no, I was just busting his balls.
Yeah.
They did amazing. They did an amazing job.
Yeah, you got a 20-year-old kid out there in this day and age. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, leading this crew.
Addison did the first leg,
and he did amazing as well.
He did a great job, but
he was driving through snowstorm.
He was going through snow in Utah, but he didn't have because he's not our marketing and social media guy, and he didn't have influencers, content creators with him, so he just did that on his own. And then Caden did this thing where there's like all these people flying in and out, and so Caden did this very interactive segment of the road show. Addison did the real meat and potatoes work, going through the mountains. You know the mountains out west, right?
Yeah.
He was going through all those mountain ranges and getting
Salt Lake City, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And then Joe now is taking the rig up to Chicago from Charlotte right now.
He's going through West Virginia up from Charlotte.
But again, just more on a standard sales approach where you're just posting some pictures and not creating content. So and then Aaron and Caden are going to take it from Fargo.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
So Addison's taking it from Chicago to Fargo. Yeah. And then Aaron and Caden are taking it from Fargo to Winnipeg and then back to British Columbia. Yeah. And that'll be another very active time on social media again.
Yeah. And do you have anybody else that you're inviting on that last leg of the tour?
Well, we'll see. So reach out if you want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Maybe you.
See, this is kind of like the Surrey project where the whole project itself was the main focus, and any of that stuff was hopefully we can add that in. But just getting to Charlotte was my main focus.
Logistically, first.
And the next ones will be a lot more. Or I just had to do a pilot project, just get it going, and not have mistakes happen.
We're going to do it every year for the build show.
Okay.
We're going to do
that's cool.
Louisiana, so we can come through to
Mexico
idea. Potentially.
That's a good idea.
Right? Yeah.
But if anybody wants to join, reach out. We are going to pick up, I know in Alberta, I think Caden's picking up the Gilberts, and they're going to do Calgary.
Okay.
Red Deer, they're going to pick up Teak, and they're going to do Edmonton together. And I think maybe there's going to be a surprise guest driving up from Spokane there with them as well. So
I don't know any finishers from Spokane.
No,
they don't finish drywall in Spokane.
They're not very well, anyways. I've heard.
No, they're built like suitcases, from what I've heard.
Very cool. Yeah, we could take the Drywall podcast on the road and just do like on the scene, like with Nick Harmon. We're checking in. I'll bring the blue snowball with me. It'll be like like one of those microphones, like an old microphone, and I can talk to people.
And
what do you think of this road show?
Yeah, you could do some guerrilla fresco along the way. Like go into a bathroom at a diner and just fresco it quickly, and
just leave swaths. Leave swaths of fresco, like in the bathroom, like graffiti, like fresco graffiti.
Fresco graffiti along the way.
Sean did do a podcast on the road where it was him, Matt, and Caden, and they would switch drivers every once in a while, and then they would switch over, and it actually sounded really good. You'd think there'd be interference, but it doesn't even sound like they're in the back of a truck.
There you go.
Yeah. We should definitely lock it in. Let me know when you want to join in, and we'll get in there.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Have you ever been to Winnipeg, Canada?
No, never have. A lot of provinces I'm still yet to visit up there. A lot of beautiful country.
Yeah, I think everywhere you go in the world, if you spend some time in a vehicle, you will see some really cool,
pretty neat stuff they've saw
outside of major cities. That you've driven all the way from New Mexico. It's some cool, memorable places. So I hope that happens for the crew.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd do like a trailer if I was to do it. A trailer's kind of nice because you can drop it off. But that RV is pretty cool. I do dig it.
With Uber nowadays, you can Uber places as well.
Yeah. You know what we should do?
Right.
We should do another Drywall adventure, the second one. And what we should do is do a roadshow to it.
Yeah.
And then we can have content leading up to it. And then everyone arrives. And like you said, maybe get some participation from the local drywall crew to take some of the load off and have a bit more recreation time around whatever city it's in, and check out some of the attractions of the city, with some content as well. Get into, I've always wanted to do a little bit of the Anthony Bourdain thing, where he covered the food and the city and the people, and we could cover the type of drywall. Like, drywall in New Mexico is a lot different than drywall in Kansas City, right?
Right.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, they use a product called Fresco Harmony there.
It's all they use.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And then it's challenging too, these drywall adventures from the applicator standpoint, as far as you got to make money. I mean, people have to make money. You've got time and money as a big inhibitor, a prohibitor.
100%.
So this has to be wrapped into it. I think too, I talk a lot on the Drywall podcast about hey man, if you aren't taking part of these adventures, if you're not going to Build 25, if you're not going to Black Friday at CSR and seeing these people in action, the challenge is to a lot of times the money, so there's that aspect of it as well. So realize that when we're out doing these adventures and having fun and things like that, we're really not making money. This is all about having fun. There's the marketing aspect and the promotional aspect of it too, but you guys are obviously spending money. There's a lot of fun being had, but when you're on the road, or when I'm going to these shows and doing things and seeing people, I'm not making money. I'm spending money for sure.
And I think that in the future, what I've wanted to do, and I have made some steps towards doing it, is if we can crowdfund this situation where a lot of companies are getting promotion from the same content, then potentially we could have, appearance fees or something like this for the price. But I haven't been able to do it yet. But we just we're laying by doing it, we're laying the groundwork so we have a resume to show to these other potential sponsors of what they will be getting for their money. And you know what? They've been pretty good about it. We just haven't got there yet.
I also think you're starting to see more, just by the industry being pushed like this. I'm starting to see more and more brands get involved with, and not even with us, but with these content creators, and I love seeing it. Some of them are our competitors, but that's fine, because the whole thing is what everybody get a chance in growing, right?
The term would be group. The term would be group fun, not crowd fun. But group fun.
They're getting more. They're getting more creative. I think that creativity begets creativity. The more you do, the more you inspire. People are getting a little. Maybe the companies getting a little looser with their content. They're having a little more fun. A little more fun.
And once again, it pushes us even more, right?
Yeah.
No, I think
it's very cool.
I think there's a line there, and I think for major corporations that have code and conduct policies, they can never really go that far, and I get it, because they represent so many different aspects in the line of products, and they sell to corporations which have a code of conduct and major. So I get that, but for us little guys, it's pretty fun to make some casual content that
we need it right now. Everybody needs it right now.
Guys at a diner, or guys filling up the motorhome or whatever, with fuel, and take it overnight to do it. Just fun stuff. So, but everyone's kind of on edge about, offending any one person, right? So, for instance, that scene that Caden and Sean and the guys filming up the motorhome, there'd probably be people in the Green Initiative that wouldn't like that, right? I mean, you're always going to offend someone in this world, I feel like.
Yeah.
With even a joke, right? So I think and people have to be respected, but I think that's what happens with a lot of content, is that people don't want to cross any line, and we don't want to either. We don't want anybody to be offended.
But then you dumb everything down.
But then it's not funny.
It's like saying everything causes cancer, and then you're not even worried about the things that actually do cause cancer, right? It's similar when you see this P65 or whatever the
California Act. You have to put a sticker on
then all of a sudden nothing has humor in it, nothing has lightness in it if we can't make fun of things, right? So I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, for sure. No, I feel like the Drywall podcast keeps that alive a little bit. It just wouldn't be any fun. Like even if like USG is like, hey Nick, we'll pay you $100,000 a year to do a podcast for USG. I think it would be boring. I just wouldn't want to do it.
And I think when you do the double action figure with Nick Harmon, the porn star, and Nick Harmon, the podcaster, that would get you canceled anyways, right?
It wouldn't resonate. It wouldn't resonate with the USG audience.
You're gonna get canceled anyway.
It might resonate with some. Like let's not discriminate. There's probably a handful of USG people that would appreciate a podcast with the porn star Nick Harmon.
Who gets the 2-liter bottle of urine? And who gets the cigarette? Which one gets which?
Yeah.
For the action figure?
Yeah, for the action figure.
I don't know what that joke means, but I'm sure it's good.
I don't understand.
The drywall action figure has a 2-liter bottle full of piss.
He needs to. That's just brilliant, dude. He has
a cigarette, right?
Yeah.
A crack pipe.
Yeah.
Little crack pipe, a little bit of dust.
That's for the borders. Next hangers, yeah.
The borders. Yeah. Oh my gosh, let's reel it in. Lastly, on my very strict my very strict item list of things that I wanted to talk about with the great Elliot and Aaron of Columbia Tools is the newest line of hand tools that you guys have come out with. It's interesting to me. So, why is there this? I feel like there's a recent push. It sort of started with the skimming blades. Okay, you got the skimming blades. One company comes out with skimming blades. Now everybody's got skimming blades. These skimming blades are better than those skimming blades. Now we've got the hand tools. What was the energy behind coming out with the Columbia hand tool line?
So it started out with the statement within our company, nobody needs a new hand tool. There's enough out there. That was kind of my position, right?
Okay.
And in some ways it remains my position. But with user groups now having extreme loyalty to brands and with our ability to market now, that kind of changed what I was thinking. So, and then I started getting really excited about making these really great hand tools and trying to have the best type of tool in each genre and putting that together across the whole spectrum so that you could confidently buy in that brand and know you would like the product. So that was kind of where it went. But the hand tools give us so many opportunities for marketing, for content. And we're also seeing a thing now. Do you remember when we were younger, you would buy a DeWalt saw, but you'd use a Diablo blade on it or a Irwin blade on it? Well, things have changed now where you buy a DeWalt saw and you buy a DeWalt blade for your product. If you go into the Home Depot in these different aisles, you're seeing Milwaukee has the bits for their drills, where previously, years ago, they did not. That was left to another company. So there's an evolution happening right now in manufactured tool brands where you make the whole spectrum for the job, where you have a job site radio from DeWalt or Milwaukee, or where we used to have an old Sharp or whatever was on the job site, or a Toshiba, you know what I mean? So that's really what's having me do it, is that the trend, or having Aaron and I and our team do it, is the trend to to your brand cover the job site. And whether or not people pick your exact tool for, your knife flexibility or how the handle feels, that'll be their choice. But it's really an industry trend right now for a brand to make all of the implements within a field. And that wasn't like that before. 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't like that. It's a newer evolution. So that's why,
Very cool. And then I had a sort of a specific question, Aaron, maybe you can answer. I got one of the Columbia blades, a 6-inch from the Surrey job that was a full metal blade. I used it. I feel like it kind of bent backwards a little bit, but then there's another blade that I got from the Build 25 show that seems like a much better blade. So has the manufacturing changed from Surrey to recently? Are you making a different blade? Tell me more about that.
So those were all just samples and prototypes. So that we were still in the investigation side of things, and that's where we were bringing in.
It's cool because nobody else has one. I have like one of the only ones, but I feel like the new one.
Knives. Good.
So we that tool was never released.
Okay.
But you have it.
We brought in dozens and dozens of different samples and had people try them and tell us what they like about them, what they don't like about them, and that's what we're bringing to the hand tool industry. That I believe is we are trying to find the best things for everybody that makes a great product for the customer that they like, and we can add value to it. And that way, like Elliot said, when you buy it, you can trust that it's going to work good for you.
We're trying to bring trust across the spectrum of hand tools. And a couple of the companies have come close or achieved it.
For sure they have.
But often in our industry, a person will buy this brand of product. So for their trowel, they'll buy a certain brand of trowel. They'll buy a certain brand of 6-inch finishing knife. They'll buy a certain brand of mud mixer. And we're attempting to have it be that you can trust when you walk into a store and buy a Columbia product or click on it online, that you're going to have a great experience, or at the minimum, a reasonably good experience with the product. That has a lot to do. Hand tools better than I do as far as using them. And it's pretty tricky everyone has a little different feel. What? Give me your weapons of choice on the job site. Tell me your list.
I haven't used the new Columbia. I'm excited to use the new Columbia. It's in my thing. I'll be using also because it's stainless. I switched from blue steel to stainless because the sealer cleans off. But I'll use a craft pool trowel currently. I'm looking at some other trowels currently, but I'm like super picky. And I'll vet a tool. That's why with that Columbia tool, I used it a lot. Yeah. That's how I figured out the flex on. I was like, I don't like the way this tool's like flexing. Sure. I'm glad you guys like moved in a different direction. It seems like the new 6-inch knife seems better. Now the pan I use for holding my tacos on Taco Tuesday, and I posted. And I was thinking a really good idea for a promotional tool would be, you've seen those metal taco holders with a Columbia emblem. Yeah. I feel like you guys should make taco holders, and that one's free. That one's free. Tacos. Like they have, like sometimes you're at a restaurant, and they'll bring out the taco holder.
Yeah,
yeah. You guys should have a taco holder.
So craft pool trowel. What is your current, go-to hand knife? Which brand? If you went into a store.
Oh my God, I have a hand.
Forget Columbia. Forget Columbia right now.
Forget Columbia. I like the level 5. I hate to say it. With the rubber handle, and then the metal for beating shit. Just beat the hell out of stuff. I feel like and level 5 too. Like they really.
They've done an amazing job.
So Scott
with hand tools, like he was like sort of the pioneer, I guess, of good hand tools.
Yeah. Scott's retired, but he is the person that I am attempting to follow the path of in what we're doing, because he really did a great job.
For sure.
Him and his partner, his business partner over in England, Andy, Scott was the visionary, and Andy was involved in the background, and Scott did a lot of work, and he nailed it, and he really, I didn't think the industry could be flipped on its head, but he did it. Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah. He did. And I mean, these pioneers should be, recognized in certain aspects of the industry. It's like, people do cool stuff, and Scott was always cool to me too, even from like the first show. I remember meeting that guy. He was just like one of the first people I met, and he was just such a nice guy always, him, Joe Koenig, like these dudes you think Joe's they're like in the stratosphere, and they're just the nicest guys.
But you've got Scott Murray, who got his tools into Home Depot and Lowe's and different companies like that, selling them.
Yep.
He licensed the DeWalt brand name and created DeWalt knives. And that guy would answer a Drywall forum question or Facebook post or Instagram about a 25-cent part for a taping tool.
Yep.
and he'd be quick on the trigger, and that guy was intense, and he cared about the dollar sale all the way to the big contracts with the big box stores. So,
but I think that's why he's successful, and I think that's why you guys are successful, because I'll interview people on here, and they're always blown away that, like, they talk to Aaron about the tool, and they get a response from somebody, and your guys' customer service is always like at the forefront of reviews that I get about Columbia. It's like, oh, they're you can ask them anything, you got trouble with the tool or whatever, and they're on top of it. So
I appreciate that. It personally bothers us if someone has trouble with our products. I'll drive out of here thinking about a guy in some state that's having a bit of difficulty, and I'm like, man, I picture what happened in his day, what he had to do, and maybe he couldn't tape his walls or whatever's happening for him, be it our fault or the tool fell or whatever's happening, But it does personally bother us. So I appreciate that feedback.
Yeah. Do you guys have any events, things on the horizon that you could give a talk about, or like maybe offer a little teaser for the Drywall podcast? I guess besides the continuing roadshow, for our listeners.
What more do you want from us, Nick? Jeez.
Okay, so
a little more, Aaron, a little more.
A little more. Sure would be nice.
Are you going to grow a beard? Will you grow a beard anytime soon?
So we are going to be releasing hand tool after hand tool, probably one each month for the next 3 to 4 months, and more to come after that. So we've got some really cool broad knives. The one you're talking about that Level 5 makes, the 2-component hand knife. We've got a Columbia model coming out.
Cool.
So, and we've got some stuff on the water, and we've got some stuff being made here. We got stuff coming across the Atlantic from Europe, stuff coming out across the Pacific from Asia. We got stuff being made here. So we've got a convergence of things happening, and it's looking like one product per month, probably starting next month.
Awesome.
Probably for about 6 months. So a big growth in that line of products. So
we've got some. You can trust Caden is going to be on top of that with the schedule, with the traveling schedule that he's got.
No.
You're gonna have to get somebody else.
You will at some point see. And then we've got some really cool tool improvements that we're making as well that are going to be noticing this year as well.
Yeah, we got a couple renovations, I call them innovations through renovation of the product. So we got a couple of them. So.
And then, do you guys want to do a joint Pearl of Wisdom? Do you want to combine on a Pearl of Wisdom? Or do you want to give separate pearls? Aaron, what do you got? 2 years have elapsed since your last Pearl. It was good. What can you bring to the table this round?
I would say my thing would just be kind. And don't fall for this division that's going on everywhere. Turn off your TV. Everything's pushing towards division, and I would say try to push through that and just be kind and look at people for who they really are, not for their opinions on things and everything like that. And we need more kindness and bonding in this world right now.
Yeah. Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, not having prepared one, but. I think when people are wondering what is going to happen in the world with a lot of different subjects right now, I think we can always revert back to the things we should be doing more of, like spending time with our families, spending time with our hobbies.
Love it.
Like Aaron said, unplugging from the stuff we can't control, and doing the things that make us uplifted and happy. So I try and do more of that would be my Pearl of Wisdom. Build it into your week, build it into your day, and spend energy there rather than the uncontrollable things that are happening right now.
Cool. Aaron and Elliot St. James of Columbia Tools. You guys, thank you so much. It was challenging making this happen, but we did. And you'll be like the fourth and final episode of the Columbia sponsored Drywall podcast. So people they'll probably had their fill of Columbia by then. I don't know. And it's always fun razzing you guys, and I love that we can have fun and we can talk trash and we can laugh. That's my favorite part. You guys have been huge supporters of Fresco Harmony and the Drywall podcast, and that helps this drywall community. And you guys are just supporters of like Tech Dry and this community in general. And it's what, I think for me, having like a product in the game in this industry, that's the juice. That's like been like the byproduct of getting to bring a product line to the forefront, is like this weird byproduct of like, I get to know you guys and I get to know Brad and Cam and all of the influencers and all the new people. Matt's coming in. It's like, I don't know this. He seems like a cool guy. I can't wait to get to know him more. That part is so cool, right?
Yeah, it's for sure cool. It's for sure cool. It takes away from all the monotony of business every day, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you guys very much. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And of course, we'll be talking soon.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Hey, Nick, thank you.
All right, you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Huge shout out to Aaron and Elliot for being on the Drywall podcast today. Not just being on the podcast, supporting the podcast since its inception, supporting Fresco Harmony. You guys are true friends to me. I appreciate you and all you bring to the Drywall community. If you've been living under a rock, you're not familiar with Columbia Tools, which should be impossible by now if you're listening to the Drywall podcast, head over and follow them on all your favorite social media platforms. Caden does a fantastic job. Also, Aaron and all those guys do a really great job with their content. So go and follow them. You can also find them at CSR and most places you get your drywall tools. The Drywall podcast can be listened to on all your favorite platforms, including, but not limited to, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also YouTube. I drop the visual episode of the podcast on YouTube on Thursday in the afternoon so that you can get a sneak peek. I'm not sure if you knew that. The audio version will also be available on YouTube as well. We're in several countries. We have over 24,000 downloads, and it's all because of listeners like you and sponsors like Columbia Tools that I get to keep doing this. I get to keep meeting awesome drywall finishers like the one we're having next week. I'm pretty excited to announce Drywall Shorty. You heard it. Drywall Shorty coming up next Friday on the Drywall podcast, so stay tuned for that. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and remember, keep drywalling.